Alright, here we go. Uh, yeah, this is the Paris place. I'm not super happy with it, but I'll put it up as a means to try to create a bit of distance so I can edit it a little bit quicker. But I'll see how it goes. Yeah, this is called Is This a Story? This is not a true story. This is a story of a fictional design. So, how will I unveil the steps that will bring us to the conclusion of this tale? Let us start with my name as an opening set to the play. I am Burton Saturnalia, and I am a writer, a maker, and teller of tales. I was born and bred in the city of River, a city that prides itself on its many creative endeavours. It was over a decade ago when this story unfolded. In some respects, it fell on top of me, breaking my ribs and spinning me off into a hermit's existence. There was this grand festival, an event that drew writers, bards, storytellers from across the lands to the city of Ocean. Ocean, the city of narcissists. There was a troop of us creative types from River who ventured to Ocean for the festival. It was from that moment forward that everything went downhill for River. There were those in Ocean who saw how open, friendly, maybe even naive we people of River were. They saw an opportunity to exploit our flaws, well, flaws in their eyes, and they did. A gang of Ocean people descended upon the city of River. They were failed actors, third-rate ad writers, unfunny comics, excommunicated cabaret performers, and cover poets. Same as a cover band, except they never mentioned the original writers' names. They quickly set up shop and recruited a few locals who became part of their gang, and they started up events and gigs as they networked their way into the heart of the city's art scene. They sent out their spies to mingle and identify the weaknesses and the strengths of the River City writers and their events and gigs. They began to lure in the young, the naive, the new to the scene, and they became mentors, best friends, confidants, as they stole their writing and set about undermining the local gigs and events. There was the internet and the writers' computers, which they placed viruses on when visiting while the owners weren't looking, of course, turning the writers' computers into drones. Open books they could exploit at any time. They set up phony magazines asking for submissions that never went to print, created competitions that had prize money that was truly minuscule, and the winners' works were never very good. They exploited the self-conscious, the unsure, those lacking in self-confidence, the addicted, the mentally ill, the shy, and those with nervous conditions, all writing fodder from multiple sources they would, with time, use. These vulnerable writers, people of the city of River, they found another avenue they could utilise. That being the vulnerable writers' bank accounts, which they obtained access to via the writers' computers in many cases. There were the marriages they would enter into, followed by divorce to exploit the vulnerable people's finances. Phony engagements and phony weddings where one of their numbers would be involved and call off the engagement or wedding at the last moment, causing the vulnerable writer person to have an emotional breakdown the Ocean Gang could then exploit. They undermined the confidence of up-and-coming writers. They spread rumours, lies, twisted tales about established writers. They would read and perform the writing of the writers before the writers had even got around to printing out their own works. When those writers did print, read, perform their works, there was always one of the Ocean City's gangs on hand to whisper to those in attendance that the writer was a plagiarist. It was a means to ostracize writers from the scene. Shut up. If that ploy didn't work to undermine the rider and remove the rider from the scene, they commenced with a different tactic. They stalked the riders, broke into their houses, stole personal items, removed and moved things around, phone calls at all hours, or a member of the Ocean Gang would walk past the riders, pretending not to know them, making certain the riders saw them, having individuals, usually down and out actors, paid to run around pretending to be the riders or friends of the riders to alienate and confuse the riders, make the riders paranoid. Eventually, the Ocean Gang would drive the riders out of the scene, drive them out of public life. When that tactic failed, they created false crimes that had supposedly gone unpunished that the rider had committed in the past. They made riders out to be violent, deceptive, underhanded, someone not to be ever trusted, someone who was extremely dangerous, someone who was mentally unstable. Lastly, when those schemes fell apart, they turned to intimidation and violence to drive the riders out of River City's scene and silence those that asked too many questions. Why, you might ask, would they do all these acts? The answer is that our country has a small population and the riders' pie is small as well. The opportunity to obtain a piece of that pie is very hard. So over the years, the Ocean Gang had exploited the vulnerable, removed the competition as they have manoeuvred their way into positions of influence. So they have had direct access to the arts grants, government funding, good paying jobs and good paying gigs as writers, with an assortment of crimes to supplement their incomes. How do I know they have done these things? I, Burton Satinalia, a true son of the city of River, I am a victim of the Ocean Gang's deceits and crimes. It's probably happening to you right now, or the Ocean Gang has just begun to do these things to you. Believe me, or don't. The question is yours to ask. There you go. Not the best.